All right, so next we're getting ready to cook. So I have added some butter into my pan. You guys are using 4 tablespoons or half a stick. Will help make sure you get what you need. This is real butter, so it takes a minute to melt. So you want your butter to melt. You're gonna watch that butter, okay, so that it doesn't burn in your pan. So as your butter begins to melt, you're gonna add all of your ingredients in. So I'm gonna take a few parts. Sorry, I have a little puppy fest over here. I'm gonna take a few parts of my apple in here, and then I have my ground cinnamon. It calls for a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, but I'm only making 1 apple. You guys are gonna be in groups of 5 or 6, and so you're gonna add more cinnamon than what I would. So I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit so that it covers the apples, and basically put that back in a container. It calls for a squeezed lemon, and again, I didn't want to open my lemon up to have to bring an open half one to school, so I'm just going to use some of my juice, and I probably put too much of that because I was just eyeing it and I made a mess. All right, so notice that I'm cleaning up after myself right away. Okay, so butter's already starting to melt. And then your recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm sorry, I've got a little cup fest going on over here. Calls for 2 tablespoons, so I will probably go with not quite 1 tablespoon because apples are already pretty sweet, okay? And then it calls for a tablespoon of sugar. So get your sugar. Again, I'm not going to use a full tablespoon, so I'm going to put, sprinkle it onto my apples. Now, you guys are going to be using bigger pan than me, and you are going to be sharing pans with others, so we need to talk some kitchen hygiene. So you are cooking with others for others. There is no, let me taste it and put it back. There is no, take my spoon and dip it in here and put it back. There's no licking my fingers while I'm cooking. We wash our hands at the beginning, and our hands stay washed. So if at any time you touch your face or, sneeze, whatever, you got to go wash your hands again, okay? Because we're cooking together. We want to make sure that we're keeping things clean. All right, so it asks for some sea salt. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm not a big salt user. So I'm actually just going to put some in my hand. You can see they're pretty coarse kernels. And I'm just going to sprinkle some on my apples because I don't really do a lot of salt. And as they're cooking, you want to get that all mixed in. Flip them over. Get the butter so you can kind of see those frying up in there. So it takes about 8 to 10 minutes depending on how they're sliced. So these are a very nice slice, and they're pretty thin, so I anticipate that it's not going to take us that long. You want them to still have a little bit of crispness. You don't want them to be like mush. We're not making applesauce today. We're making fried apples. So get it mixed so that your mixture is good and mixed in the pan with your butter. Okay, so you can see I keep mixing, and then I'm going to fry these up until I get a nice tender apple. Now, if you have to take turns, take turns. You can only fit what you can fit in the pan. And if we need to add some butter and modify, we can do that. Again, I gave you guys bigger skillets to use so that you can hopefully cook more. Okay? So our rule is, if we make it, you try it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to eat it all. But part of being a cook or a chef is that you are trying different foods. I'm super, super picky. But I'm going to even be with you guys where I'm trying the things that we make together in here. All right, so this recipe is for fried apples. So enjoy your cooking.